Welcome to the Mom is to Fit YouTube channel. My name is Gina. I'm a perinatal fitness trainer and mom of 4, and I was diagnosed with prolapse in 2017, and I have had 4 kids and pregnancies and postpartum since then, and my prolapse is not symptomatic. I have no issues from it, and I want to show you how you can do that as well. I'm able to run marathons, lift heavy weights, and do all sorts of really active things with my body, and my prolapse does not hold me back. So let's break down how you could do that in this workout. If you've been diagnosed with prolapse, it's likely a very scary diagnosis to get. You may be thinking your organs are about to fall out of your body. And you may have actually been told to never lift again, to never run, to never jump, to essentially just remain super still. Otherwise, your prolapse is going to get worse. The good news is most of us don't have symptoms if we have a prolapse. And I would think of prolapse almost like looser skin. It doesn't mean that there's anything functionally wrong with your body. It's just different after we give birth, but it doesn't mean that there's a functional issue. If you do have symptoms with prolapse, it's likely not because your organs are about to fall out of your body, but there's some tension within the pelvic floor. We're clenching somewhere for support. And so in this workout, I'm going to walk you through 6 different exercises that you can do to find relief from prolapse symptoms. And these are movements that I incorporate into my daily workout routine to help keep my rib cage moving well, to keep my pelvis moving well, so that my pelvic floor is set up in the best way to support my pelvic organs. For this workout, the only thing that you're going to need is a resistance band and a yoga block. So once you have that stuff, I'll meet you in a standing position with your band. So first, we're going to start with some diaphragmatic breathing. So take your long band and you're just going to put it around your bra strap line. So it's going to come across your back and then it's going to be touching your 2 sides of your body. I'm going to do this from a standing position, and I'm going to first start by pushing the band away so it causes me to round a little bit in my back. And then I want you to think about big inhale into the back side of your body. And then exhale, lift up in the pelvic floor with like a loud shushing noise. Big inhale into the back. And then exhale to lift up in that pelvic floor. When we inhale, what we're looking for is this back expansion here. So we want the rib cage to expand because our lungs are in our rib cage. They're not in our belly. They're not down in our pelvic floor. So we're inhaling to feel the rib cage expand. And then we're going to exhale to lift up in the pelvic floor, pull belly to spine so that we're activating in the core in that pelvic floor. For a lot of us, we tend to have a little bit more compression to the backside and a lot more length to the front. So this breathing pattern helps to counter that. Go ahead and release that band and then remember that breathing pattern, and we're going to come down to the floor. We're going to start by placing that block between your thighs, and we're going to come into this side seated position. So from here, I'm going to think just kind of drop my rib cage down to the floor, and I'm starting on the right side, but you can start on whichever, but I will cue as if you were on the right. So we're going to drop that side rib towards the floor to feel more of a stretch here in the side body. So big breath into that bottom part of the right rib cage. And then exhale, pull belly to spine. Big inhale into those side ribs. And then exhale, belly to spine. Rib cage mobility has a big role in your pelvic mobility and how your pelvic floor is being positioned. For a lot of us, we tend to be a little bit more compressed to the right side of the body, and we also tend to favor a little bit more of like rib flare or extension in the spine, and this can impact how our pelvic floor is set up to work. And so if we breathe into the side body, this is going to improve our lateral rib mobility, which a lot of us tend to forget. And now come onto that elbow. We're going to lift the hips up. And now with that left hand, we're going to reach forward to bring the chest towards the floor. And then exhale to come back to the starting position. So we're going to inhale to reach, rotate in the spine, and then exhale to come back. So now we're adding in some thoracic rotation or rib cage mobility with a twist. So the first breathing exercise that we did incorporated the backwards movement of the ribs by finding a rounded position. The second was the side body, and now we're adding in some of that rotation. And then move slow and controlled. Pay attention if maybe one spot feels a little bit more sticky or tight for you. After this, we're going to move into incorporating some of the hip rotation as well. So go ahead and remove that block, hover in that left leg, and then we're going to reach to bring chest to the floor, and we're going to also extend that left leg back. So now my belly is coming more towards that right thigh. Exhale to come back, and then inhale to reach. So my foot and my hand are kind of like diagonal from one another, and then come back up. So now we're incorporating hip rotation or pelvic mobility with the rib cage mobility to coordinate the two of them. Your rib cage and your pelvis are kind of like counter weights to each other. So rotation in one place usually results in rotation the opposite in the other. But if this coordination is restricted or maybe it's like not coordinated well, this can impact how your pelvic floor can work and how much it can support your pelvic organs. Let's go ahead and now switch to the other side. So we're going to take that block, place it between the thighs, and now we're going to do the left side. So my left arm is going to be straight. I'm in this side seated position. And now my rib cage, I'm just going to drop it down to feel a big stretch through the side body here. We're going to do the side body breathing. We'll do the reach and then the star plank. So big inhale into the side here. So that left side. Exhale, pull belly to spine. So if you're feeling heaviness in the pelvic floor, or you're feeling more pressure or just discomfort in the pelvic floor that you believe to be associated with prolapse, we can sometimes think away from the pelvis. We can think about, okay, what's going on with my rib cage mobility? Because for a lot of us, we get stuck in positions, especially in the postpartum time frame. So can we improve how well the rib cage can round? Can we improve the lateral bending of the rib cage? And then can we improve the rotation of it? And typically, if we address those three kind of movements, we tend to find a lot of relief from our pelvic floor symptoms. Bring that elbow down to the floor, extend in the hips. And now I'm going to reach forward with that right hand to bring the chest towards the floor. And then exhale to come back up. So I'm inhaling to reach, exhale, back up. So now we're adding in the rotation of the rib cage while also incorporating some of the side glute strengthening. The block squeeze is adding a little bit of inner thigh strengthening. So we've got some lower body movements happening in a way that it's likely not causing any symptoms for you. Typically, if you're having a lot of prolapse symptoms, like all forced positions don't feel great. For me, I know if I am feeling a little bit more symptomatic, like down dogs or tabletop positions, just feel like everything's about to fall out for some reason. And so we can try these side plank positions and these side lying positions for more support. Go ahead and remove that block, and now we're going to come into that star plank. So reach and extend that top leg so belly comes towards that left thigh, and then come back up. So we got rib cage mobility, hip and pelvic mobility integrating together. And you're likely getting a lot of like strengthening here in that side glute. And in that shoulder as well. Our bodies are a system, It all works together. Nothing really works in just isolation. And so the solution to prolapse or pelvic floor issues is never going to be Kegels. It's going to be how well can we help our body coordinate with itself. Now let's go ahead and come to a standing position. So we're going to move into 2 hip shift variations. The first is going to be a standing hip shift, and then we're going to move into a lateral hip shift. With the hip shift, we're going to start in the staggered position. We're going to start with the left foot back and right foot is forward. Bring the hands out in front of you, and then we're going to open the book towards that left leg. So now we have this twist in the body, and there's weight in both feet. Then I'm going to hinge forward. So like I was reaching like 2 or 3 feet in front of my left foot, and then just bring the hands towards your side. Starting with that left foot, I'm going to think 80 to 90% of my weight is in the left leg. So if you're over here in that front foot, I want you to bring more weight into that left foot. Lots of weight in that left big toe. Left knee is kind of twisting in. I have a little bit of a bend in that left knee, so it's not super straight, slight bend. And then I'm thinking bellies towards my thigh. So if I have my hands on my hips, my right hand is going to be lower than my left hand. So we're here. And then think just slight rounding in that low back. And we're trying to feel this big stretch in this deep hip pocket. And then go ahead and reach forward to extend in the hip. Maybe put a little bit more weight into that right foot. And then shift your weight back into the left. So we're going to kind of focus on shifting our weight from leg to leg to come out of the hip shift and then shift back into it. I want you to think about weight in the big toe of whichever foot you shift your weight into. This is going to help kind of cause that rotation throughout your body. Learning how to come in and out of a hip shift is incredibly beneficial for your pelvic floor. Hip shifts help to stretch that back half of the pelvic floor, which for a lot of us, we tend to get stuck in this very arched position. We tend to get stuck in more external rotation. And this is going to compress the back half of our pelvis and the back half of our pelvic floor. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So now I've got more weight in my right leg. My left foot steps forward. I'm going to have the arms out in front of us to open to that open book towards that right leg. I'm going to reach forward as if I was trying to reach like 2 or 3 feet in front of my right foot. And most of the weight is in that right leg. So again, if I had my hands on my hips, my left hand is lower than my right. So now starting at the foot, lots of weight in that right big toe and 80 to 90% of the weight in that right foot. I've got my right knee kind of rotating in slightly. Belly towards that thigh. So left hand is lower than the right hand if my hands are on my hips. Big stretch through this glute. And again, we have a little bit of a bend in that knee. If your leg is super straight, it might feel fine. But if you have hamstrings that feel tighter, it might be a little bit too much. So it's just a slight bend. And then put most of the weight into that leg. If you want, you can find a slight rounding in the low back. And we're feeling this stretch in this like deep hip pocket area. So if you had jeans, you're putting your hands in your jeans, and that's kind of like the sensation or the area that we're feeling the stretch. Now we're going to go ahead and extend in the hips to reach forward a little bit more weight in that left foot, and then come back into that right leg. So shifting forward and then shifting back. So we're alternating which foot we're putting more weight into. We're coming in and out of the hip shift. Hip shifts, again, help to stretch the back half of our pelvic floor, which if you're having any sort of like constipation or like tailbone pain or discomfort to like the lower back or the back of your pelvis, hip shifts are probably going to help with that. If you're having more heaviness or tension within your pelvic floor, for me, hip shifts is like my go-to exercise. If I'm feeling any discomfort, let's say I've been holding my baby all day or I have just been on my feet all day, I'll just come into some hip shifts, just movements just like this, and my symptoms go away almost right away. Now we're going to finish up with a lateral hip shift. So feet are going to be a little bit wider than hip distance, and they're going to be parallel towards one another. So your toes and your ankles should have the same distance between them. We're going to be shifting our weight from side to side, and you may notice that like one side feels a little bit tighter than the other. And then I want you to put your hands on your hips. So put your hands on your hips, feet a little bit wider, and then I want you to hinge forward a little bit, bend in the knee. From there, I'm going to shift my weight towards my left leg as my right hand comes lower. So I have to rotate my pelvis towards my left leg. And then shift to the right. Left hand is lower. And we're just kind of alternating between the two. Now I want you to think about keeping weight in both big toes the entire time. So as you shift, I want you to think weight is in my straight leg and my bent leg. This is going to help deepen the release. So feeling more of a stretch in that groin now, more of a stretch in that deep glute, and then switch to the other side. Big stretch in the glute, big stretch in the inner thigh, rotated in the pelvis. And now you can shift from side to side a little bit quicker, or you can take your time and really feel the release. This is another one of my go-to movements if I'm feeling a little bit more discomfort, because sometimes it's because my inner thigh is a little tight. And that concludes the 6 exercises that I incorporate into my daily routine to help keep me feeling good in my body in the postpartum and while I was pregnant with all of my babies. Prolapse diagnosis can be really scary. You may think that your active life is over, that you're never going to lift again, you're never going to run again, you're not even going to do any of the things again, but it is just not true. You can absolutely live a symptom-free life even with prolapse, and prolapse does not need to get worse with every pregnancy or with every birth. I would love to support you on your fitness journey throughout your pregnancy and in your postpartum so that you can feel good during your pregnancy and good as you navigate motherhood. Our programs are all about helping you achieve a level of fitness so that you can do all the things with your kids now and for decades to come. You can use our code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings to include our fitness programs, our childbirth education courses, and all of our bundles are already 15% off. So you add on that extra 10% and you get 25% off in savings. We would love to be a part of your motherhood journey, and I hope these exercises help you feel a little bit better in your bodies.